you were one of the first women, as you said, appointed to the Assistant Attorney General. What were the decisive factors in you getting that job? I'm really, I don't know. We've never talked about that.
Well, it's a story I love to tell because it is a story about the women's movement. And Carter had promised that he would appoint women to positions that they had not held before. And I had to go back one step further, which is to say that I got into the women's movement, not through a course or but through some students who were working at the at Public Defender as volunteer investigators, and they came to me and they said, we want to have this course on women and the law. And I said, women and the law, what's that? Like it's women, the law, and elephants or something. I mean, what is a course in women and the law? And they said, well, they had one at NYU, and it was, and nothing in law school has anything to do with women, and we can't get anybody at Georgetown to teach it. Nobody on the regular faculty, but we think they would hire you if you would be willing to teach it. And I said, guys, I don't know anything about it, and I haven't even reflected very much on my own experience being a woman lawyer. But they were a very persistent bunch, and they just kept at me, and they also made me feel that I owed them, for all the work they did at the Public Defender. The least I could do was drop in and teach this course. So I did. I started teaching the course, and they had the syllabus, and then I thought it was fun because the students were so excited, and it was their course, and I began to learn about it and think about it, and then the next thing I know, Yale wants me to come and teach it, and in the spring. And so I would fly up from Washington, D.C. to New Haven at the end of the day on Thursday and teach it Thursday night and fly back early Friday morning. And I don't know how I had such energy, but and I just got deeper and deeper into it. And then these students, these women students and their male allies, there were from the very beginning of the women's movement. They were very powerful male allies. I mean, the women weren't all alone. And I had only graduated from Yale like 8 years earlier, but these were different women than we had been. See, all we wanted to do was assimilate and not cause trouble, and they wanted to cause trouble. They really did, and it's just they were outraged, and where are the women professors, and where are the mentions of us and our interests and our professional development, and what's going on here? And they were such powerful women. It was really something to see. So that's how it happened. I joined up, and I was really interested to see that Ruth Ginsburg tells a very similar story about how she became a feminist. It was the students at Rutgers coming to her, and so does Herma Hill Kay at Berkeley. Says it was the students at Berkeley came to her. This little tattered syllabus that they're passing around to start courses, but anyway, that I became, without ever intending it or signing up for it, viewed, at least by appointments committees, as a leader of the women's movement. And they, and all of a sudden, see, overnight, and you may have forgotten this, but it really did go from 3% of the nation's law students were women when I was in school to 20%, 30%, 40%. And most law schools had never had a single woman law professor. And so they all wanted one. And most of them wanted me, so it was like this little period. So that I, and the same thing happened with when Carter promised that he would appoint women. There were all kinds of women on the task forces and things, and they just kept saying, Barbara Babcock, why don't you get her? So and so I interviewed for a lot of great jobs. Now the job I wanted was to be the first woman SG. See, but that was taken, and then I wanted to be the head of the Civil Rights Division, but that was taken. So, I fell back on the Civil Division, which turns out I liked it a lot. I liked doing that, and but it was all straight out of the women's movement.
But who first contacted you to say we're interested in you?
Well, people call me from there's a transition committee, and there was a women's transition committee, and they call and said, what would you be interested in? And I said, well, a lot of things, but I'd like SG, and but I interviewed for general counsel of the Defense Department. I lost that one when I said, gosh, I haven't been in the Pentagon since I marched on it.
Bad move.
I thought that was a joke, but it wasn't regarded so. But it was political people, because the Carter's people wanted him to come through. Mm-hmm. And Stanford and Silicon Valley and was all a big credential, and then I was a leader of the women's movement.
Yeah. Great. I think that Carter played the same role with me, and I probably should have given him credit on your last question. He certainly appointed more minorities than any president up until that time, and I'm sure that played a role in my getting this job.
In fact, more minorities than all previous presidents combined.
Exactly, right.
No, he really did. The man does not get as much credit as he should.